Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface Assassin's Creed Shadows. Haven't heard a lot about that video game recently, have we? And there's very good reason as to why. Nobody cares. The video game that was developed by the French somehow wanted to tell the Japanese how their history should actually be, because that history would be more in line with their current 2025 day ideological politics. It went really, really well indeed. I'm clearly joking. It absolutely failed miserably, much to my satisfaction. Can you believe that we have to go back to the 27th of March, that's nearly 2 months ago, to get this tweet that they put out on X that said, we have 3 million players. It was a heck of a humble brag. Emphasis clearly on humble, because there were no sales figures here. They were just trying to state how many people had actually had some interaction with the game, whatever that meant. There hasn't been an update to this figure since, which is incredibly strange, and even more strange when you consider that a month after that, they posted this, where they bragged that both Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey had both surpassed 40 million players. Again, not sales, but players. But there is a heck of a difference between 3 million and 40 million. And whereas, yes, these games have been out for several years, it kind of really overshadows how many people, or lack thereof, were legitimately, genuinely, I don't know what word to really insert here, playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, because they wouldn't release sales figures. And because they haven't even decided to release further player figures, one can safely assume that it's not really going according to plan. After that, of course, we found out that post-launch, almost immediately, Ubisoft sold 25% of the company to Tencent. Not only that, but Tencent started a new division where they took the top 3 franchises from Ubisoft and popped them over there safely in their acquisition, whereas the 75% of Ubisoft, well, that's kind of been left to fend for itself, really. But again, with no actual sales figures to go off, how could we truly know how well or how badly Assassin's Creed Shadows was doing? Well, it was clearly doing very, very badly indeed. However, some new information has recently come to light as regards to the sales figures, and let's just say, well, the people that said the game was doing terribly were actually correct, and the people that were running interference were terribly wrong. How many times have we heard this story before? If we jump to the Steam charts, we'll see that Assassin's Creed Shadows only peaked at 64,825, which was approximately 20,000 less than the mitigated disaster that was Dragon Age, the Veilguard. And even right now, just 3,300 people playing. And if we were to look at some charts, and let's just use this max, we can see that when it peaked, it went on a severe decline. A decline that it's never picked up from. It's just gone in a gradient of down and down and down and down and down. So that's actually pretty legitimate to support that it was difficult to track data which was going down so damn quickly. Xbox, there's no exact number, but it's the worst performing amongst the 3 platforms. So let's be generous and assume that it matches the PC of 367,000 copies, which is actually being generous, because we also have the Ubisoft platform, the Uplay platform. But finding somebody to subscribe to that, you might as well just go unicorn hunting. So if they were generous and matched the PC copies, that would bring the total somewhere in the region of 2.4 million sales. Now, I just want to reiterate that I thought that it would do somewhere in the region 5 to 6 million in the first month. So it's done half of what I thought it would do. And I thought that number of 5 to 6 million was not good. It's certainly not the numbers that they would need to make this a successful game. You would have to be looking at somewhere in the first month of them going, we sold 10, 12, 15 million with the budget that this game had, the amount of people that worked on this game, to make it deem or seem at least as some sort of success. And then as time would progress and the price would come down, more people would pick it up and you'd make money on the project. But at 2.4 million, no. This game has lost a substantial amount of money. But of course, the biggest giveaway before we even proceed was the fact that in the first week of sales, Ubisoft sold 25% of its company to Tencent. That is not the behavior of a company that has actually succeeded. That is the behavior of a company that is drastic for cash flow, something that we know Ubisoft has particularly run out of right now. And with Tencent pruning the 3 biggest IPs of Ubisoft to go in their new division away from the rest of the company, says to me that 25%, that is pretty much the functioning Ubisoft right now. The other 75%, maybe they'll strike it with a game, maybe not. But I got a feeling that we're going to get the announcement over the course of the next few months of some serious redundancies at Ubisoft. And we already have seen that other gaming companies, EA, places like that, are shutting down places. This is not new. The Western gaming industry within itself is falling apart. And I haven't even done a video or discussed Bungie and the whole marathon debacle, which I think I need to address in a completely different video. But let's just say Bungie are now on the cusp of joining all of these other companies in potential bankruptcy and closure. And at the very least, having a takeover bid made. When you think of the amount of money that was spent to try and acquire Bungie, the amount of money that was spent in developing things like Marathon, things like the whole Destiny franchise, and then to steal our assets and come across as such a weak company, no. You've lost all the faith, you've lost all the trust of your player base, and ta-ra, goodbye, all those years of investment, all those likely hundreds of millions of dollars that have been pumped into it, gone, over, dead. Bungie, now dead company walking. Ghost of Tsushima had sold 2.4 million copies in 3 days. In 3 days. Not 2 months, 3 days. Again, smaller studio, smaller budget in production, and not just critically acclaimed, but, well, apart from the woke journalists that were just like, how dare a bunch of white people make a video game about Japan? By the way, we're going to stick our dick in the arse of Ubisoft, a bunch of white people telling Japanese people that there needed to be more black people in the Middle Ages, in the feudal times for Japan. We'll support that one to the nines because, of course, the video game media is fucking mental. Even Assassin's Creed 1, a game from 18 years ago, 18 years ago, sold 2.5 million copies in its first month. And you just think of the exponential growth of the gaming industry since games like this have come out. 18 years ago, the video game industry was nothing like it is now in terms of size, in terms of reach. Nowadays, 2.5 million copies beat you. don't you? Like a kipper. So this, again, just goes to show that Assassin's Creed Shadows was an unmitigated disaster. Not only that, but it shows that Ubisoft, in selling 25% of its company, had to do it. If they didn't do it, probably out of business. And it's not hyperbolic, it's legitimate. We know that their cash flow was going down drastically. They didn't have the money to fund anything else. Their other games, Skull and Bones and everything else that had come out, had failed miserably as commercial successes. This was a last chance hurrah with one of their biggest franchise names, Assassin's Creed, failed miserably. Oh well, the death of the Western gaming industry can't come soon enough for me. And if it has to get bailed out by China right now, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to take. Because at least in the East, they're making damn good games. At least they're making games that they know people want to buy. And that's something I'll take above this Western shite all day, every day. I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Bye for now.